Hey, good evening. Kyle T. Mosley of HBCU Legends, as well as Black Sports Insiders, here with Mr. Wilton C. Jackson II. What's going on, Wilt?
What's going on, Kyle? It's good to be back on for another show, man.
Yeah, guys, we have completed our full month of Black Sports Insiders, our first month, and I'm very happy and very pleased. I hope you guys are pleased as well. And this young lady here, she's getting all dolled up for everybody.
I was trying to feed my face.
It's Miss Keisha Kelly. How you doing, Keish?
Listen, the bad weather is coming. So, oh God, yeah.
Yeah, unfortunately, we are praying for our friends and family, and I got 8 relatives in that storm, wake of the storm right now. So I'm praying for them. I'm praying for all the people in Tallahassee, surrounding areas as well. Even as the storm goes up to the other states, we're praying for you guys' safety, minimum flooding, minimum damage. Just be safe and do the right thing, and don't try to be a superhero out there, guys.
Listen,
Please.
they done already canceled school out here. We got graduation for my students tomorrow. So listen, y'all can let us go after that, but they gotta go. them young adults got to go. Like after they finish, we can go home. But they gotta go tomorrow. Like, yeah, they gotta go.
Okay, all right. So, man, it's been a pretty
ASAP.
active week so far. What you say, Will? Okay, you kind of delayed on us there.
No.
Will.
I was just saying. I was just laughing at Keisha.
Okay, all right. Speaking of
Can you hear me?
what's going, barely you're going in and out that, but what we're going to do is talk a little bit about the WNBA. Man, there's been some terrific postseason awards that have gone out already. We're talking about Miss Wilson, who is the 3-time MVP, and she's gone for a three-peat with her team as well. We'll talk a little bit about that.
You know, Cal, it's been an incredible WNBA season, and shout out to Asia Wilson for getting that third MVP. I mean, she has been playing lights out. Obviously, she's became the league's first 1,000-point scorer this season. She set a new points per game record. She became the fourth player in WNBA history to win 3 MVPs, joining other legends, right? Like Cheryl Swoops, obviously Lisa Leslie, Lauren Jackson. She got a gold medal in Paris. I mean, like the list just goes on and on. I mean, she has a signature
Big shoe
now.
deal.
Exactly. I mean, it doesn't get better. If you're Asia Wilson and you're living her life this year, I mean, it has to be absolutely phenomenal. I mean, and just the poise that she spoke with in giving her acceptance speech, and even the speech that she gave in the locker room. Just telling people what it's like to be in her shoes. It's hard to be Asia Wilson some days, but her teammates lift her up. That's just the character of a true champion. So her getting the Associated Press WNBA MVP award, it's just a testament to her incredible year.
Yeah. Keish, you covered the WNBA. How do you feel?
Listen, I told you last week how I felt about it. I remembered the beginning points, but then Kim humbled me and told me about even more beginning points. So it's like I got like the better part, and Kim had like the beginning point. But just like you said, you talking about shoe deals. Who would have imagined, we would be at this point? Eventually, we're gonna get to the pay part, but who would have imagined, after all of this time? And I always just think about, even still, I was looking at like some of their salaries, and I was like, who would imagine? And of course, you make up for it with endorsements and all that stuff, but I never would have imagined that we would have got to this point with women in basketball. Like I never would have saw that.
It's a beautiful thing, man. And a lot of historic boards have really taken hold in the WNBA. Kim, she making us feel old. She talk about from the beginning, like it was back 80 years ago or what have you.
I don't know why you always trying to drag me into that with you.
I forgot. You were 10 years old when you were covering WNBA.
I feel seasoned. I do not feel old.
Okay. Seasoned is the word.
Very
that is the word.
Yes.
Yesterday I was we went over to the Houston Rockets where they unveiled their new practice facility, and the owner Tillman Fertitta, he held a press conference afterwards, and I asked him about, somebody mentioned the NHL team, about his, where that stood. So then I asked him about the WNBA, and he said absolutely he'd like to have a team. He got in a little bit late, but Gretchen Shear, who's the team president, is leading that charge, and he spoke kind of at length about it. So when you think about WNBA and that he is full speed ahead on trying to make that happen, he said it seems like it should be the place, right, that Houston gets an expansion team, but he in terms of expectations, he tried to temper those, but he's going to do whatever he can. So when I think about where we are now, like cities really trying, wanting to get a WNBA franchise like this kind of second time around. And I think about what we're seeing. And like Keisha said, who would have thought, we think about shoe deals. Cheryl Swoops had one way back, when you say back in the day, but it's a whole different thing that we're talking about today in terms of some of these opportunities and just, it's exciting to see. And I will be glad when we can, it's not just all these firsts and it's so new, and that the people that come on board now as fans and supporters, that they will stay and enjoy the game, and they can get beyond the culture war. However you got here, just come on in and watch and become a fan beyond. And stay. Whatever brought you here, we don't really care. But just stay and respect the game and respect the work that these women are putting into it.
Yeah, just have a seat.
Have a seat.
That's the best thing we can say. Ray, what's going on, sir?
What's up, everybody? I'm in Washington, so as y'all can see, it's crazy right here. Right, one game did a whole lot. One game and one performance did a whole lot. I'm trying to tell you, we went from predictions that this team would win 6 games to now they can win 11 and they can win a division and maybe make some noise in the playoffs. So we'll see what happens, but it's all good vibes coming out of Washington right now.
What about Atlanta?
Yikes.
We ain't talking about Atlanta right now, but you know what? No, they played the champs tough. They played the champs tough. And hey, you win some, you lose some, like Pop said on Friday, but you live to see another day. So 1 week at a time. That's how I live anyway. I'm not overreaction. I'm not overreactionary, I guess if I'm saying that right.
Okay.
Not impulsive.
We'll talk a little bit about the historic performance from Mr. Jaden Daniels from the Washington Commanders a little bit later in the show. But right now, guys, Caitlin Clark is the Rookie of the Year. Miss Carrington, she is the most improved player of the year, right? I like her. And all that these young ladies do, I mean, you look at the talent that's being out there and the talent that's coming up. Is Flau'jae, is it her time this year coming up? Or she has one more year?
She has one more year.
She has one more year. Yeah.
Now they can't declare early?
I think she's making more money in college. I think she has a COVID year. That's why Angel Reese could have declared before last season, but she said, I'm making more money in college than I am than I would in WNBA. So she stayed an additional year to capitalize on that championship. So I think Flau'jae got the podcast. She's
a rapper.
America's Got Talent.
She's a rapper.
Yeah.
She's killing
She's
it.
driving around in that big old Benz right now. She's doing it.
Just makes sense.
Yeah, it does make sense. And if you guys had a chance to look at the LSU documentary that's on, I think it's on Prime, right? And just talking about all the money that's going through the Bengals Tigers program, and you look at other programs, big programs like, let's say, University of Texas and U of H and Alabama, and
I don't think you put U of H in that category. Now stop it.
Fertitta, U of H. So anyway, Matrix Mac for U of H. They got big money there. They hiding it from Texas Southern, though. I'll tell you that much. But anyway, I said it. And right now, guys, let's talk about what's happening. We got a guest that's going to be on with us, Miss Nia Symone, man, and you know she's doing her due over at HBCU Go. So she's going to talk about ladies in the media as well as how she got involved and just give us kind of a little lowdown and rundown behind the scenes. So get ready, get your popcorn ready to talk to her. And right now, when we look at the playoffs that's going on, what's happening with these guys? Are we expected to see the Aces to three-peat?
I think right now that's an easy favorite to say,
Yeah.
but I mean, obviously the games still have to be played. But I mean, you can't lie. The performance they put on yesterday, for those who don't pay attention to Chelsea Gray, I think after yesterday's game, obviously she had some slow starts and still kind of, you know, bringing herself back to full speed. She looked incredible. She looked like
magic.
Yes, she looked like iconic Chelsea Gray dishing the ball like she does, and she's so important to what the Aces do on a you know, a game by game basis. And of course, you know, obviously you have Asia doing her thing, Jackie Young, Kelsey Plum. They're still obviously going to be the favorites to go after this three-peat. I will say this though, they are going to get a very tough Liberty team in this next round, and the fact that the Liberty have the number 1 seed, that means they have home court advantage in those first 2 games. So obviously the Aces are going to have to make sure they you know, pack their bags tight and be ready to play when they go to New York, because that's a tough place to play in.
Okay. Who you got, Keish?
Listen, I'm gonna echo right what he said, and that's something I'll say. If you're not paying attention to somebody, you might want to start paying attention. And yeah, it is. It's the easy favorite, so I definitely agree. You know, we can. I guess we'll see, huh? But you know, it's pretty much like you said. The game still has to be played, but it's an easy favorite.
Okay. All right, Kim. Any thoughts?
Yeah, I can't really differ from what's been said. Kind of hard to go against the Aces, but I do think the matchup is going to be, I think it's going to be good. I mean, I think it's going to be some good basketball. And if you haven't been tuned in before now, go ahead and jump in. Don't tell anybody. Just jump in now and watch it. You will not be disappointed.
All right. Please don't give his opinion.
I just want to say that I'm old school too, y'all. I remember when like playing down low mattered in basketball. And the WNBA, they played the game the right way. Jonquil Jones, I was able to cover her when she played for Connecticut. They lost to the Mystics in the championship, but if you run through her, as much as I love Breanna Stewart, I love UNESCO, I'm telling you, you start with her, then you got a chance against Aces. You got to make them work on defense. Got to make them work on defense.
She's the X factor for the Liberty in that series.
I'm telling you, she's tough. She played basketball right here in the DMV, her high school ball. Don't sleep on her.
All right. Well, we're going to talk to a hooper coming up. You know, that's how she got her career started in HBCU hooping. And Miss Nia Symone will be with us in a few minutes after these messages that we have at this time. Yes, sir.
November is American Diabetes Month, but we're not here to celebrate it. Not when diabetes is gripping us and hurting us. At the American Diabetes Association, we're here to make a stand. Join us, add your passion, lift up your loved ones and those in need, and move us closer to a cure. Someday, we can celebrate. Until then, we fight.
Visit your local Acura dealer for attractive offers on a new vehicle.
See those people right there? Mm-hmm. When they get inside and find out this place doesn't serve food, they're gonna wish they had done this.
Facts.
Get one favorite like a Big Mac or Quarter Pounder with cheese and get another for just $1 right now at McDonald's.
This is how it starts with the 2023 McDonald's Change Leaders. 10 young Black visionaries who are starting something and changing everything. Find out what they're up to at mcdchangeleaders.com.
No charger?
It's a Mac. The battery lasts all day. See you next week.
Okay, guys, we are back, and we have a special guest, Miss Nia Symone. How you doing, Nia?
I'm well. How are you? What's up, family?
Oh,
Hey,
good to
Nia.
see you.
Hello.
That beautiful smile of hers that brightens up everybody. How you doing? It's good to be able to finally connect with you, right?
I know, right? Thanks for having me.
You're welcome. All right. How's everything going over at HBCU Go?
Everything is well. We're rolling on into week 5, which is unbelievable how quickly the season will fly by. It's just like this. So we've had some great games on both the syndicated as well as obviously the cable side. We had a thriller, ending on both sides last week. So it's been fun. It's been exciting. It's great to get to these campuses and connect further with just the culture and the environment, but also to the coaches and the players. I think that's been the most rewarding part. So,
yeah. Well, I was always interested. How did you, because you used to hoop in college, right? And how did you know that you wanted to be a part of the media?
So funny enough, my mom was always the parent that kept me around whatever it was to inspire me. Before we got our WNBA team, I was always at the Georgia Tech games, and then the Atlanta Dream came in 2008. And my mom just made sure that she kept me around what made sense to me. And so I had the opportunity in high school to become a ball kid for the Atlanta Dream. And I remember one day, it was pregame, obviously, I'm able to see everything that's happening, like literally from the beginning to the end of the game day experience. And so I had the opportunity. One day I was, rebounding for a player, and I see this beautiful, tall Black woman walk in, and I'm like, what's she about to do? I saw she was doing a report and stuff like that. And it was LaChina Robinson. And I remember coming home and telling my mom, I want to do what she's doing. And so LaChina just took me under her wing when I was just maybe a junior going into my senior year of high school. I was able to shadow her, and it's just been history ever since. So shout out to my mom.
Yeah. Thank you, Mom, for leading you in that direction, because you're doing a great job for HBCU Go. I know you're on with those guys, and it's been quite an adventure for you. Any questions, Keisha?
Hey, Nia.
Hello.
Listen, y'all know. Listen, I am really proud of you. Is all I can ever say, because I get it. So I don't think I have any questions, Kyle. More so just proud of her, because I've been on HBCU Go with her and Laurencia. I've done a segment with them. So, I think it's just more so proud of what y'all are doing. But yeah, keep it up. Because I've watched it from the beginning. So yeah.
Okay, well, good. What about you, Kim?
I would just ask, well, first, like Keisha said, congratulations. But what are some of the plans for HBCU Go in terms of programming and stuff that you guys have coming up the pipe?
Yeah, no, we're excited to obviously break into basketball season. Is slowly but surely creeping up on us. So I know we did some coverage at SWAC Media Day, and we're just excited to keep the ball rolling. We've had some great talent from Antoine Bethea and James Hatnott, Laurencia Moulton, Jasmine McCoy. Obviously, I don't know if you guys saw the pre-show that aired a couple of weeks ago, which was incredible. So every single year, I see how much the network is growing and how much we want to be innovative and more hands-on and just really bringing the HBCU experience. There should be no reason why we have to go to other networks to see other networks that does not cover HBCUs specifically, where we have to go and get some type of game day experience. Why not have it within ourselves? And so I'm really glad to just see how much the network is growing. This is going on my 3rd basketball season, and just so much has changed in over 3 years. So I'm super excited to see some of the things they put in for basketball season, and as we continue this half football season. It's going to be very interesting.
Yeah. I had a chance to speak to Curtis Simon, president of HBCU Go, before you guys launched this new platform to have the big game show. He said, "Hey, Kyle, Fox got theirs, we're gonna have ours, and we're gonna cater to our people the way we need to, and talk to our people about more than just sports. Let's talk about the culture, the bands, and everything else that went along with the whole HBCU experience." How important has that been for you guys, as well as the fans, to see you guys there on a weekly basis?
So first of all, I will run through a wall for Mr. Curtis. I mean, if he was my basketball coach, I'd be like, "Coach, listen, what you need from me?" Because Mr. Curtis, he listens to us, he hears us, he sees us, and I'm just very grateful to have someone like Mr. Curtis, who has been the brains behind HBCU Go as a whole. And it definitely rubbed off on us. But just to speak personally, I played at 2 HBCUs. I played at UAPB as well as Alabama State. And I can count on my fingers how many times over those years that I played for those institutions that we had a televised game, Wow. And so now it just really brings me so much joy to when the athletes are on the coaches' calls, or the coaches are super excited to talk to the parents. I just did a one-on-one interview with the Poole brothers at Virginia State. Those type of stories are now being told that weren't told 5 or 6 years ago. So, and just to see the growth of HBCU sports and everything around it has been absolutely incredible. But, coming from a former HBCU athlete, just hoping that at least we have 1 or 2 preseason games that will be on television for my family who may necessarily cannot travel to where the game is, or maybe a little far, or how do they tune in, right? I think that every institution tries their very best to get where you and reach as many fans as possible, but also to awareness, right? I have friends text me, "Hey, I'm at a bar right now and I see you on my TV." And it's just like, wow, this is where HBCU sports has grown, and it's only going to continue to get better. And I think that we have such a unique broadcast because, again, we have some amazing, amazing talent, but I love that specifically we focus too on the culture, right? Every halftime show, you're watching it live, I'm queuing up every single band. There's no other network doing that, right? So not only are we tapping and making sure that our fans know what's going on from, the start of the game to the end of the game, but also in between the game, what's going on around culture. I try, and every single week I go out and connect with different small businesses and restaurants and talk to the students about what's going on campus, and can we put this on air to be able to highlight you guys more. So it's just incredible. And I think it's even better that I am a former HBCU athlete, former HBCU grad, to know what it is that we really, really need and deserve.
Awesome. Will, any questions?
Neil, it's always good to see you. I see you like every other week with Atlanta Dream,
right,
and we
right.
with HBCU game day. So it's always good to see you. My question is just, you actually kind of answered it a little bit, but I want to ask this: how rewarding has it been to be able to help some of these businesses and kind of go behind the scenes of telling these stories? And that's, I guess, the first part of the question. And then the second part is more so, which one would you say has been the most noteworthy, or the one that has really made you say to yourself, these are the type of stories that I really truly like telling?
So I'll actually answer both in my response here. So we were at Southern University about 3 weeks ago, and our crew, we love to eat. So we always try to find the best mom and pop spots, the small businesses that we can go out and support and show some love to. And so shout out to Nat and Nick, who are our amazing graphics team in our truck on the cable side. Again, we are some foodies, so we're always going out to eat. And they're like, "Hey, you got to try this breakfast spot called Barnyard Cafe." And I'm like, okay, cool. So Saturday morning before the game, I pull up, and it's literally a barn, right? Mm-hmm. And I walked in, and it's literally, this is how much room you have. And it's maybe not even a mile away from Southern University's campus.
Yeah.
I walked in, y'all, and I just immediately felt like it was an absolute big hug to me that I really needed. The owners, Mr. Johnson and Mr. Neves, I give so much love to them because they were just so warm and welcoming. It was about 7 or 8 human jukebox band members that were in there just chilling, having a good time. They were eating. The menu is killer. And I'm like, I got to get this on camera. So I literally went back to my hotel. I had my camera with me, but I didn't have my mic. Mm-hmm. And so I was able to get back in time. By then, the members, they're just chilling. They told me that this is their safe space. You know, they're college students. And it's rare when you get on campus to find that home-cooked meal, you know, that meal that just makes you feel at home. And each of those students have told me every Saturday when we have a home game or if we don't have a game, we're at Barnyard Cafe with Miss Denise and Mr. Johnson. It really warmed my heart in. Mr. Johnson and Miss Denise, they love those students to death. I was able to mic Miss Denise up. I'm back in the kitchen with getting work. So I'm super excited to be rolling that out. I've been editing it because I want to put it together. And one of my goals is to continue every time I go to these small towns or wherever I'm at, or just the college towns or the communities, I want to be able to highlight those individuals. So really, really big shout out to Barnyard Cafe. If y'all are ever in Baton Rouge, Louisiana, please, please, please go support them. Y'all, their menu is off the chain. You will not be
all right. Man, you're making me hungry right now.
It's amazing. I mean, and it's stuck with me because I shed a tear or two because it's just Miss Denise and Mr. Johnson, again, we're just so grateful. And they were so warm and so kind. And I'm like, look, I hope I get a game, you know, back in Baton Rouge soon so I can go back and support them. So again, if y'all are ever there, please, please, please make support Barnyard Cafe.
I mean, there's always homecoming.
There you go.
It's always homecoming. Ray, any questions for Nia before we sign off, man?
Yeah, just one quick question because you mentioned Curtis, and Curtis is always so excited about the plans he has. Like he said, I want to have a HBCU March Madness tournament, you know, like separate. And I bring that up because, Kyle, you remember what I told you? It's a tragedy that when Tamika Reed was coaching at Jackson State, they never played Norfolk. Like those were the top 2 women's teams in HBCU basketball. They represented in the tournament. They never played. So what do you think about the future of like a college basketball tournament for HBCUs from the SIAC level and CIAA level up to the MEAC and SWAC level?
The future is bright. You know, it's needed. You definitely have some platforms that are actually doing that work right now. But on a bigger scale, I think it's something that is very needed. There is, don't get me wrong, there's a basketball tournament that happens in Harlem every year. I met the person that's behind it. I'm so sorry. I forget his name, but I know he's a former coach or is a coach. I'm sorry. Even what was, I think was HBCU Elite, that tournament, all those different things, right? But having a big, massive tournament, I think it would just be amazing for the coach. Of course, for HBCU athletes to get more support, more eyes on the game, as well as the institutions. And I just think it's incredible. And so Mr. Curtis, listen, we'll sit down, we'll be talking. I'll be like, man, Mr. Curtis, I love it. And I feel it. And I feel so empowered after I talk to him. So when that man has a vision, trust and believe, he's going to do whatever it takes to make sure that vision comes to life and to continue to elevate and amplify HBCU sports culture as much as possible.
Mr. Curtis Simons doesn't play. We would not have had BET if it were not for Curtis Simons. We would not have HBCU Go if it were not for Curtis Simons. So he is a legend, and I appreciate every time he's able to share any bit of knowledge to me. I do have one question for you, and I always like to ask this question because as a female in sports media, what advice would you give to a young lady who's looking at you now, and just like you looked at the China and wanted to be and aspire like her? What advice would you give to her, these young ladies at this time?
Block out the noise. It's so much noise. Being a double minority, being Black and a woman. And there's so many people that will tell you, well, maybe you should try behind the camera, or maybe you should do this, maybe you should do that. It's a lot of people on a journey that try and discourage you, whether if it is to be on there or whether if it is to be behind the camera. And we have to create spaces for each other and ourselves, because when we get into these spaces, there are a lot of times there's people that may not look like us, that may not talk like us, that may not understand what it took us to get there. And then, of course, with the noise part aside from that is social media, right? Where you can easily compare yourself or maybe feel like you're not doing enough when you are doing just right. So if I could give advice to anyone, block out the noise and continue to follow that dream. Be as delusional as you want to be. I was very delusional. I'm still delusional, but that's okay. You know,
it's good to be delusional every now and then.
I'm a little delusional in a healthy way, but no, seriously, block out the noise, because it's so much noise and it's so many people around you telling you what you can't do, because maybe they could do it, right?
Yeah. Hold on 1 second. Do you have at least 5 more minutes for us? We have to go to commercial break. We'll be right back, guys. Okay.
November is American Diabetes Month, but we're not here to celebrate it. Not when diabetes is gripping us and hurting us. At the American Diabetes Association, we're here to make a stand. Join us, add your passion, lift up your loved ones and those in need, and move us closer to a cure. Someday, we can celebrate. Until then, we fight.
Visit your local Acura dealer for attractive offers on a new vehicle.
See those people right there? Mm-hmm. When they get inside and find out this place doesn't serve food, they're gonna wish they had done this.
Facts.
Get one favorite like a Big Mac or Quarter Pounder with cheese and get another for just $1 right now at McDonald's.
This is how it starts with the 2023 McDonald's Change Leaders. 10 young Black visionaries who are starting something and changing everything. Find out what they're up to at mcdchangeleaders.com.
No charger?
It's a Mac. The battery lasts all day. See you next week.
Here, but I am back with the crew. How y'all doing? Right. Okay. So you were talking about being a young lady in the sports media business, and Kim, you've been in the business for a little bit, like probably 5 years. So
okay.
Kim, he trying to play you.
No,
okay.
Well, I was trying to be delicate about this because she always gets on me when I say she's been in it more than 2 years. So I'm just trying to stretch it a little bit. Now, Kim, but seriously, Kim, what type of question could you or advice give to Nia and you guys together, kind of give advice to the young people out there as far as encouragement? Because I've had several young ladies come up to me and they would like to write or they like to be behind me in front of the camera, but they want to do it straight out of college without any really grind work behind it. What advice would you guys give to them, Kim?
Well, what I would say is become a really good writer, become an expert in whatever it is that you want to talk about, read everything, understand how to create the product from conception to air. You know, you can learn how to talk, you can learn how to, you know, dress and all those things, but can you tell a story? You know, I always like to use the example of Bryant Gumbel. The way he got his start was he was a great storyteller. And back when they used to tell these very long, well-produced stories in local television, that's what he did when he worked in TV in Los Angeles. And that's how he ended up going from there to the Today Show and then to all of the work he did, because he was just such a good storyteller. And so that's what I would say. Be able to write, you know, be a good writer, be a good storyteller. And these days, be a good producer, because you're going to have to produce your own content. And that's what's going to be important. And that's what's going to separate you. Get the experience, because you can never, you know, you can't coach experience. You know, it's kind of like playing. So get experience, learn as much as you can, and really be good at your craft. You know, it's so, I call it the, hey, look at me, I'm on TV syndrome. And that sounds like, yeah, you know, don't you want to do that? And there's nothing wrong with being on television, but how do you show up, right? And what are you giving people when you do show up? And then really, where's the future? Now there's so many opportunities to, you know, do your own thing, but you got to be able to create content, and content comes from being able to, you know, it has to be produced and it has to be written, and learn those things. And then the other stuff will follow, is what I would tell people.
Okay. Same to you, Nia.
I would say, just to follow up with that, you know, don't be afraid, don't limit yourself. I think a lot of us, it's so many avenues to communications, media, whether it is writing, producing, tech, all those different things. And I would say try it all. Try it all until something that just sticks with you, because I think that sometimes, especially in our communities, excuse me, is that we don't get a lot of exposure, or when we do, we're like, oh, okay, I can just be on camera and be a news reporter. It's like, no. You can be a producer, writer, you can be in tech, you can be in graphics, directing, all of those wonderful things. All of those positions, we need more of us in it. And so I would say, don't limit yourself. How I got started when I first graduated college, I did not go straight into it. A lot of it was me starting my videography business. And then I got the opportunity to be a freelance editor at NBA TV and CNN Sport, cutting highlights for the halftime show. And so sometimes when you're in these spaces, don't be afraid to be a sponge. Don't be afraid to ask. Don't be afraid to say, hey, Kyle, can I come and shadow you one day and learn more about your role? Like, be curious, but also too, don't limit yourself.
Yeah. Good advice, guys. Any last thoughts or questions for Nia, guys?
I would just advise you, next time you're in Baton Rouge, to also try the Blue Stove Chicken. Okay, just gonna give you another restaurant. The Blue Stove. That's who I thought you were gonna say, but it's the Blue Stove Chicken. Everybody knows the Blue Stove. Yes.
Okay. They on my list. They are on my list. Thank you.
All right. No game this weekend for you, right, Nia?
No. I will be headed out to New York tomorrow, so got to go handle some business out there, and be back on the sidelines for, is it Fayetteville State, Bowie State in Fayetteville. So super excited to be back on the sidelines. But no of me this week, but make sure you tune in. It's going to be a great show, Mouse College, and I want to say it is Allen University. There we go. Mouse College, Allen University is going to be a great show. And of course, our syndication side, I believe they have a SWAC matchup. Cannot tell you who it is, but nevertheless, make sure you tune in on HBCU Go for another great show and broadcast.
All right. And tell everybody how they can find you on the World Wide Web.
Sure. You can follow me on Instagram and Twitter at Nia On Air, NIAONAIR. I don't think I'm anywhere else in the world. I hope not. Nia On Air. That's where you can find me.
Okay. That's Miss Nia Symone. Thank you, Nia. I appreciate you so much.
Thanks for having me.
All right. Take care. All right. That was great conversation, guys. Good conversation. Let's talk a little bit about what's going on with the Major League Baseball. And Kim, oh boy, you were right there in the thick of things in Houston last night. The Houston Astros won the West. It was the American League West. Yeah, the American League West. Talk about that.
So it's the seventh time in the last 8 seasons that they've been the American League West champions. And they played last night at home with a win over the Mariners. And, you know, from the way the team started this season, at one point they were 10 games out of first place, 12 games under 500. And so early on, people were already writing them off like, oh, this season's lost. And they had like the best June, like the best record in June, and they just continue to build. They've had, you know, like a lot of people do in baseball because it's such a long season, lots of injuries. Justin Verlander, multiple Cy Young Award winner, future Hall of Famer, he was out for a while. And then they had they've lost several starting pitchers, and they've had to have some young guys like a Spencer Arrighetti come up who you didn't even know if he'd be on this major league roster. In fact, I remember heading into spring training talking to the general manager and him saying it's a numbers game, so he may not even get a chance to play up. And they turn around and he's been a huge part of this team's success, a young guy like a Hunter Brown. So just what they've done this season to be able to get back here has been, you know, fun to watch. And you saw that in the clubhouse last night. And it's the usual. I've covered them in these celebrations for years. I was totally unprepared. I didn't have any rain gear or whatever. And somebody looked at me and said, I know, I've been everywhere today, like Rockets opening facility. And so there I was. And so you know what, in terms of how far they can go, I have no idea with this Astros team. But what I will say is because the expectations aren't like they've been in recent years, I think it's less pressure. So listen, they could go out in the first round and, you know, in their wild card series that they will host against either, if it started today, it'd be the Royals, but I think it might be the Tigers, or they could be back in the World Series. And so we'll just have to see. But it is, I love baseball, so it's fun to watch, and it's been a cool team to cover. At some point, you know, this ride's gonna be over, but they've been on it for since 2017, really.
I know a lot of people were concerned about the Astros early on, like you said, with being back as many games as they were, but to be able to see how this team, especially the veterans, kind of steadied that whole ship, as well as they brought in some new key players as far as the pitching is concerned and everything. That was good to see.
Yeah, Justin Verlander last night, talking to him, and he struggled, right? There's some people who would say, man, Justin Verlander shouldn't even be in the rotation when you get to postseason. This team is big on analytics, right? The front office people are big on that. Justin Verlander has been, he's been bad since he's come back from being injured. So I don't know what they're going to do. I don't know how you leave him off because of just what he's meant in postseason. But he couldn't get us out at this point. He's been bad. But last night, talking to him in the clubhouse, he talked about really the young players. Without a Hunter Brown or a Spencer Arrighetti and even Ronel Blanco, they're not in postseason. So I would say it's some of the young players that have come in, and then Yainer Diaz behind the plate has been calling some great games. Altuve is Altuve, okay? That's who he is. But they have been Kyle Tucker, who was on an MVP track until he got hurt and missed, almost 3 months. So they've had to have a lot of different people step up. And so I want to give credit to Dana Brown, the general manager, in his second year as GM, who people really were like, he didn't know what he's doing when he went out and signed Yusef Kikuchi. And people were like, he can't throw. And he's 9-0 since he's been here. He brought over Jason Hayward. And the first thing was, he's washed up. But Dana Brown, he knows what he's doing. You don't get to be in the positions he's been in baseball, let's face it, as a black man for all these years and not know what you're doing. And so I'm glad that the moves he's made have really panned out. And so for that reason, I'm a little biased and wanted them to have success because of Dana Brown.
Yeah. And before we go to break, just quickly tell everybody, because we debuted the video last night on the top 10, you had a interview with the Astros dietitian. Why is she so special?
So, every Major League Baseball team has to have a registered dietitian. And when I was looking at the media guide to start the season, I'm that person. I read the media guide and I was like, who is this woman? Well, she's the dietitian. She's an African-American woman. She's 28 years old. She's one of two African-American female dietitians in Major League Baseball. And I just thought, let me talk to her. I'd love to know her story. And so she's obviously, 28. She's very young. She did some work in the minor leagues, but just even the story of how she became a dietitian. She talked about how when she was, I guess, in the 6th grade, she was diagnosed as being type 1 diabetic. And so she had to go and meet with the dietitian. And that was when she knew, like, oh, this is a thing. Like, this is a job. You get to work with people and work with food. And that was starting her interest in being a dietitian. And so she studied it and, did all the things you have to do in terms of being registered and certified and the masters. And now she is the dietitian. She, over everything that has to do with food and the diet of this Major League Baseball team. And so last night I talked to her after the game. She, of course, was there because she's considered a part of the coaching staff. She doesn't wear a coach's uniform, but, she's at every game. She travels. So when they take the picture on the field for the coaching staff and the players after the game as AL West champions, she's a part of that picture. And so I thought that was really pretty cool for her. And she said, in the past when I worked in colleges, right, even with Olympic sports, when you're as a dietitian or a minor league, you're not playing for anything like maybe a World Series. And so to be a part of that was special for her. And, so I've been kind of following her and keeping up with her this season. And it's like you said, there's not a lot of Black people. She didn't really have a role model to look to about how to do this work. And so she gets a lot of people that will come to her because she's there. And at 28, she's fine with it. She knows it's important to reach out and let people know this is an option for one of those jobs you can have if you want to be involved in Major League sports.
We will replay that later this week for you guys. Possibly on Friday, we'll have a replay of that interview. It's a great interview, guys. We'll be back in 2 and 2.
The walking tree is said to change its entire location in pursuit of sunlight. Where could reinvention take your business? Accenture. Let there be change.
That way.
We're close. Let's go.
With Nissan, fun has no limits.
Hey, it's Jared. Let me show you how I created my dorm room vibe for less with Amazon. I have tons of different clothes. I have some pajama pants, more pajama pants. People say I have too much. I don't really listen to people. I love to journal. I got my gratitude journal, I got my mantra journal, and I got my 5-minute journal. And I got a package from Amazon. Let's see what we got for today. This is perfect. This is my journal that I journal about journaling.
Dear Diary, I wish I had more PJs.
Okay, County Mosley of the Black Sports Insiders. We are back and we're about to wrap up the show. But before we wrap up the show, Ray, talk about Jaden Daniels. How important has this young man been? How historic has his first 3 games in the NFL uniform been for him with the Washington Commanders?
I was just talking about this before I came on with you guys, and I was trying to compare it to another era in Washington Redskins / Commander history. RG3 is probably the closest example. 2012, the team went on a 6-game winning streak, went to the playoffs. And anybody who knows the DMV area, the Commanders are number 1. Even when they're losing, I don't care if another franchise like the Nationals or Capitals have won championships, even the Mystics, the Commanders are number 1 around here. So to see the reaction, we got people saying they can't sleep because they just so excited about it. I have not seen anything. Sean Taylor, we know the late Sean Taylor, he created that type of buzz around here. But I'm going to go all the way back to the 90s when the Hogs, Darryl Green and Art Monk and Doug Williams, that era, I haven't seen excitement like that since then. And we're talking about how many years later now. Just one game did that, but it was such a historic performance. He only had 2 incompletions, only 2 the entire game. The Commanders have not punted in I don't know how long. They've had the best punter in the league for years now because they were never really good on offense. But what he did as a rookie on the road against 2 LSU legends on the other side, and Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase, it just showed the type of young man he is, and he's so likable. He's a leader already as a rookie on this team. And if anybody knows about the Commander Stadium, it does not fill up with Commander fans. It always usually fills up with opposing team fans. Now, if they win in Arizona this coming week, then Jaden Daniels is going to have that place rocking in 2 weeks from now. And it's going to be amazing. Darryl Green, all-time great for the franchise. His numbers being retired the night the Commanders play the Panthers. So when that happens, if they're 3-1, 4-1 by then, it's going to be crazy. And I don't know if he's even aware. I was just asking the question, how can you roll out the red carpet for this dude? What can you do? Does he get like a LeBron-sized mural? Like, you got to keep this brother happy and elevated because he's doing something that has not been done around here in such a long time.
Yeah, isn't Green from Houston?
He is from Houston.
Yeah. Another Houston great. Blessing the NFL. But historically, Drew Brees, Tom Brady, Jaden Daniels, through 3 games in the NFL, those 3 men now have the highest completion total of any quarterbacks ever to play the game. And Daniels is number 2 behind Drew Brees by 0.2 of a point. Isn't that something? Awesome. Congratulations to that young man for what he's been doing. It kind of reminds me of what CJ Stroud did last season for the Houston Texans, right, Kim?
Yeah, it does. And I remember when Jaden Daniels was coming out, although Caleb Williams 2 years ago, people said, oh, he's going to be the number 1 pick. And so it was kind of embedded in people's minds. But there were many who watched him and said that this Jaden Daniels is the best player in the draft, and best quarterback in the draft, I'll say. And so but it all comes down to getting in with the right system, with the right people around you, and the right coaches, right? And so I think that he went to the right situation for him, and it's good to see him do so well. It's usually early. Rookies struggle those first few weeks. It takes them a few weeks to kind of get their footing. The game starts to slow down a little bit. So for him to come out the chute and be able to do what he's done is impressive.
Awesome. All right, guys, let's talk a little bit about some HBCU football here. Let's see if we could be able to. Can you guys see this file?
Nope.
Okay. Don't worry about it.
All right. Kyle.
Well, look, it's been one of those days with the show that we've been having some technical difficulties. But anyway, we will keep on rolling. How do you guys see the Jackson State, Texas Southern matchup? Wilton, are you going to come down to H-Town, or are you going to stay in Jackson and wait?
I will actually be coming to Houston for that game. I also think this is going to be a pivotal game, and I think that game, honestly, is, in my opinion, maybe a little biased, but I think that game is a little bit more important for Jackson State than it is for Texas Southern, considering that Jackson State's coming off a loss to Grambling and a team that you knew it was going to be a challenge for them. But at the same time, I think it would behoove Jackson State to not get 2 back-to-back losses. Before going to Texas Southern, then after that they were facing Alabama A&M team. But this is also a Texas Southern team. I've been telling people this is not the same team that you would have expected from Texas Southern the last 2 to 3 or even 4 years. This is gonna be a team that's ready to compete from both sides of the ball. They have a lot to prove. And if Jackson State's not ready, and I guarantee you Texas Southern is going to watch that same tape that Grambling did to Jackson State in Grambling. So if TC, obviously haven't watched tape this week, he talked about, some of the defenders, specifically the linebackers group for Texas Southern. They have to be ready to play.
Okay, Kim.
Yeah, TCU's, they're big up front, and in the game against Lamar University, it was some untimely penalties for them that really was the difference in that game. But they should have their quarterback back this week, which is going to be a huge difference because they haven't had him since the PB game. Right. They held him out last week when they played Lamar University.
Yeah, Mr. Cooper, right?
Really,
KJ Cooper.
KJ Cooper.
Yeah,
they're really physical, especially up front, and so it should be a fun game to watch. It really should. And I know that they want to, win their first home. This is their first home game, and with the new coach Chris Dishman, even they played in the area, but it's their first home game, and I know they're really fired up to try to, clean up some of the mistakes they've had and to get a win. So you're right, it should be a fun game.
Keisha, Southern, who are they playing?
We are on bye, praise God. We are on a bye week. Thank you, Jesus.
Okay. All right. Ray, what's happening in the MEAC and CIAA?
First of all, I just want to say North Carolina A&T, man. Whenever you see your ex and you can get a win, it's always good. I always talk about those who have left the MEAC. And they got South Carolina State this coming week. So maybe a chance at redemption for them. Their whole alumni group and fan base, they think they're so important. Like, all y'all do is talk about us. But anyway, we'll see what happens. There's more chatter about them coming home. Norfolk State got a big win against VMI last week. Played pretty well. Passing game finally got going. As a matter of fact, their alumni group shared the video from last week about Michael Vick. So the discussion about a coaching change is still there. However, they play Central. Everybody knows Central's predicted to finish first. Central just smacked A&T as their rival, and Central's the best team in the conference. So it's an opportunity for them to take another step forward. They can show up like they did week 1 and last week in the trenches, and also establish that passing game. They got Jalen Daniels down there. And Norfolk. I think those are the 2 biggest games in the MEAC this coming week. And I like, again, what Chennisberry's doing. If you beat A&T pretty bad, kind of like Central did, then you setting up yourself for a fun game against North Carolina Central.
All right. Well, good. Top teams in the nation. Who would those guys be? I have Florida A&M number 1, NCCU number 2. Who's coming in third there, Will?
For me right now, it's a little tough. It is a little tough. I would probably put, considering that Hampton beat Howard, I would put Hampton.
Oh, Hampton. Okay.
Yeah.
What about you, Keish?
Are we going D1 or D2?
It doesn't matter.
Listen, I'm not gonna let y'all play. I'm not gonna let y'all play with Teddy Keaton like that. So we're gonna slide Clark Atlanta in there. Johnson C. Smith is gonna come right behind him.
Yeah.
All right. You guys forgetting about the G-men now. You can't forget.
They would be Grant. 4th for me.
All right.
Okay, mine still remains. You know what?
Spoken like a true Jaguar.
A true Jaguar.
All right. Look, much love to David Wright. The young man is leading the nation as the top HBCU football quarterback out there right now with over 1,000, well, I think over 1,100 yards passing, if I'm not mistaken. And he's done a tremendous job. Those guys upset Bethune-Cookman last second walk off, right? And we had a couple of last second walk-offs. We're not going to also talk about what happened to Prairie View, and that was a a sad case, but I know Keisha was very overjoyed. She couldn't stop her elation and her texts and many texts about it. But Keisha, congratulations to you guys. And I know Coach Graves, that was a load off his shoulder because those guys needed to have a win, and that was a great win in their comeback. All right, guys, we will have more for you guys on tomorrow. I have a special interview with Coach Mathis from Morehouse College. He's going to be with me talking a little bit about how the Maroon Tigers got their first win and his first win as a head coach. Yeah. And we got to celebrate the little things, right? But also, guys, we will have a preview and talk a little bit more about what's happening with the games ahead for this weekend. And Wilt and I think we're going to be with what time are you coming in town on Friday?
So Friday I'll be in about noon. So that'll be about that time. Yeah.
We'll try to get together on Friday then.
Yeah,
and
for sure.
Probably we'll do something live for you. You never know. So that might be a special thing altogether. Guys, let's have a great, safe weekend. Again, we're praying for everybody who will be impacted by the hurricane that is approaching. And it's September Prostate Cancer Awareness Month. I am a survivor. Guys, get tested. Please get tested. I'm Kyle T. Mosley here with the Black Sports Insiders, Miss Keisha Kelly, Kim Davis, Ray Rogers, and Mr. Wilton C. Jackson II. Thank you very much. Have a great evening. Take care.